Good evening and welcome back to the Mancunian Way. My name is Martin. I'm your host, and tonight we are joined again by the three legends of the Mancunian Way, Pat, Ozzy, and Rich. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Very good, thank you. And how are you?
Martin? Good, thanks.
All's well here, thanks, Martin.
Good. Before we get going, I want to say a big hello to Daniel. His father, while I was shopping in Morrison's earlier, said, "Are you on the Mancunian Way?" Yeah, went bright red. Didn't know what to say. And I went, yeah. And he said, my son watches all the time. So good evening to Daniel. Hope you are well. Thank you for joining us. So, yeah, Dan from Turf Morehouse is going to join us in a bit. He's just finishing up his show, and then we'll get the Burnley perspective. So we're going to hold off on the Burnley preview for 10 or 15 minutes or so. But I think we need to go into the transfer news, because obviously this Lucas Paquetá deal is taking more turns than Spaghetti Junction at the moment. The one thing I can tell you is, and I have double checked, there is no bid gone in of 105 million quid. There is not. There are still in discussions. No bid has gone in. So there are tweets out there at the moment that City have made a second bid of 105 million. No, they haven't. So just all calm down before you all start hitting the panic button of 105 million quid. City are not going to go near 100 million quid. West Ham want Palmer. We want Paquetá. They are still talking as we speak. There is also the talk of, which Rich and Ozzy will get very excited of, Jeremy Doku over at Rennes at the moment. There is an interest. There's, again, no bid gone in. It will be a record departure if he does leave and come to Manchester City. So, yeah, and then the other news tonight is, at the moment, there are rumours, and these are rumours, not by me, but anyone puts out on Twitter. Martin says, Martin does not say, Ruben Diaz will not travel tomorrow. So, hey-ho. Anyone want to jump in with anything? Paquetá, Doku, Diaz? Anything? Good evening to everyone in the chat. I will come to that in a moment. Oh, yeah, Stones might be out as well. Yes, sorry. Thank you, BB. Anyone else?
Good job we've got so many centre-backs, isn't it, to be fair?
Yeah.
We've got 9 of them. We've got 9 of them.
Yeah, and about 6 of them are world class, so we'll be all right. But
yeah, totally fine.
You know,
centre backs is not an area we need to moan about injuries.
We could play like Ake, Guardiola, Laporte, become the first ever all left-footed 3-back.
It's off.
Could be Pep's new tactic.
Laporte might not leave, and Diaz or Stones stays on the bench most of the season.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Because I think we all have said, like, last season, season before last, Laporte would have been starting every game after his heroics, and barely got a sniff.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that we're finally
Laporte is 100% out the door.
We're finally trying to speed up. We're finally trying to speed up our transfers as well, which is it's interesting how calm we've been all summer. But I think they're obviously just thinking that, you know, whilst we got over the line last year, we were pretty light as a squad, and then you add to that a couple of departures, and they're obviously starting to realise that we do need a couple of extra bodies. And it sounds like it probably will be a winger and a midfielder now. So, you know, it'll be interesting. Doku certainly, got something quite different to what we've got, which would be interesting to see. But I do think we need someone to put in a bit of extra, keep our wingers on their toes and give us some extra options, and also give us some, some bodies to rest some players.
Leroy. No, I'm only doing it to my YouTube. Why do you jump?
Well, I was going to kick one of us out because, that's usually what you do when we mention Leroy Sané. So
why do you jump? I'm trying to not talk as much this season, so I'm letting you lot go. Good evening, Harvey.
This whole it's this situation with West Ham and Lucas. Is it? I keep pronouncing it.
Paquetá.
Paquetá.
Bloody Paquetá. What are you two bloody watching?
It's Paquetá.
I've heard it pronounced so many different ways. I'm just going to go with Lucas. It's the safest bet right now.
Just go Lucas P.
We've been, me and Rich were talking just before we went live, and we were both saying, City have been monitoring this guy for like 5 years. 2 years ago, we were looking at maybe bringing him in. Last year, there was even more talk about bringing him in, and then all of a sudden went to West Ham. And he went to West Ham for what, 50-odd million? And now City are quoted, that he won't leave for anything less than 90 million, maybe even 100 million. I'm sorry, but that's bad business if we were to pay that kind of money. And I know people will say, the market's gone crazy. You're paying 100 million now for midfielders. Yes, you maybe are, but they've got to be damn good quality. And no offense to the guy, but he hasn't been ripping it up since he came to the Premier League. And in League One, he was all right. He's not a bad player, but he was
more than all right in League One.
No one can tell me seriously that he is worth the figure that's been bandied around. For me, I honestly, Martin kind of alluded to it earlier, saying, or you did, Rich, saying that City have gone calm. They've gone quite calm in the transfer market. We are going a little bit later than we normally do, but I kind of wonder whether we're waiting for certain dominoes to fall. I'm wondering whether we're waiting for certain big players to kind of leave or whatever, because there's the whole stuff with Mbappe and Kane right now, which are the two big talking points that a lot of people talk about. But you kind of wonder, now there's been a price set for Kane, will the bigger clubs then buy and start looking like Real Madrid really need a striker? They've got no one up front. Now they know the price. Might they take a punt at him? Because they're not going to get Mbappe probably this summer. Paris Saint-Germain do not want to sell him. Well, do want to sell him, but they don't want to let him go for nothing. Because at the moment, Mbappe is such he can stay where he is. He doesn't have to leave Paris Saint-Germain, so he'll go on a free more like next
summer. Alec Johnson disagrees with you, Ozzy. He's comparing him to George Kinkladze. Jesus, Alec.
Wow, that's a statement and a half.
Yeah,
by the way,
I'm
starring some of your predictions and scores for later on when we bring Dan in. So,
just to finish my point, just quickly.
Why do you care that much? I mean, just a question for you, Ozzy. You talk about in the comment you made. Why do you care what we pay for a player? Why do you care whether someone's 75 million or 95 million? What matters is whether they do well for the team. And, we've had a lot of players who we've signed who everyone's gone on about what a rip-off they were, and they've proved to be absolutely bargains. And we've had others where we paid money for and thought we got good value. I mean, one example, Calvin Phillips, everyone thought was good value. Nearly everyone in the City fan thought was good value. Kyle Walker, nearly every City fan thought was the biggest rip-off, waste of money, worst signing for the money ever. And one's turned out to be absolute bargain, and the other one's turned out to be overpriced. So we get very het up about what we pay. All that matters is whether they come in the team and do a job. You
make a valid point, Rich. You do.
If the Sheikh's 10 million, poorer because we pay 10 million more for a player, factor.
It's more for me that I kind of don't want to see the money kind of used, such a massive fee used on a player that, if like I said, if we're being honest, probably isn't worth that figure. Regardless of you saying like, we can throw out any kind of money we want down for a player, and they may fail or not. But for me, it's like you're slapping a massive big price on a guy who his numbers are all right. I mean, for me, it's just I prefer. And my point was with the whole Real Madrid stuff is that I would prefer Valverde to come in, because Real Madrid are probably going to need the money. if they do it for a Kane or Mbappe or whatever, they're going to need to sell some players. Valverde is a player that I think they would probably give up because they've got those positions covered with other players. I think if we offered that kind of money to Real Madrid for Valverde, I think they'd probably snap your hand off if they're going to get a Kane or an Mbappe. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of what I'm saying is that I want to see the money go down for a player that I just think doesn't matter about the value, like you said. It matters about the quality. For me,
so do you not rate Paquetá? Is that what it more is?
I don't rate him as a player that I think is. If you're going to go on value and for what he brings, I just don't think he's worth, for me, that price tag. If you're gonna, like I said, between the two players, if I was to say to all three of you, which one would you go for, Lucas or Valverde? Who are you going to pick for that price tag?
Is there a problem though because Harry Kane's got a year left in his deal and he's walking out for 100 million?
Yeah, but I'm just saying about the two players right now, Martin. I'm saying which
Enzo,
one would you take?
Enzo was 120 million for 6 months.
The price is an issue, but the market is absolutely screwed at the moment. It's up the wall crazy. You've got players going for 100 million who've only got 12 months left on the contract. So it's like, where do you even go from that point of view?
But Martin, but if you actually look at the cost of these players versus the turnover of the clubs, they're still cheaper than Steve Daly. They are, not priced. They're actually priced no more than someone like Keith Curl back in those days. The turnover of the clubs is going up.
Curl?
No, because
$2.5 million, Rich.
Yeah, but City were turning over something like 5 million or I think it was less than that when they signed Steve Daly for $1.5 million. It was a third of the annual revenue. Now City could be turning over 750 million this year. So 100 million is, relative to the economic size of the clubs. So I think transfer fees go up because the amount paid for football goes up. And that's turned into our ticket prices, the cost of Sky, the TV contracts. But ultimately, as football gets richer and richer, players get paid more and more and transfers go up and up. So it's actually, it's unfortunately, it's a reality in the Premier League that the clubs can afford to spend 100 million on a decent Premier League player. And, who would have thought Declan Rice, 105 million, Enzo, 120, Bellingham, he could have.
Enzo went from
knee problems. 120 wasn't
euro.
it? Yeah, it's just
6.
Yeah, he was 20 million, wasn't he? Quoted to us a few years back before the World Cup.
I'm back.
6 months or something. Yeah. So it is crazy. I mean, the question is, with what Pep wants, there's probably not been a player we've watched more because the Paquetá things go back. I think it's pretty much since the day he signed for Lyon from Milan, which was 5 years ago. And, saying Pep watched him for, I think, Munich when he was playing at Fluminense. So we've watched him backwards. He's a very flexible player. He can play in any of the positions we need, and he's technically very good. So the other thing is he's not played that much football for a 26-year-old. So if they think they can, fit him into the team and get the flexibility and what they need out of him, then they're not going to be splashing money on someone they do not know backwards and have not watched thousands of hours of their play. And, let's be honest, 9 times out of 10, we've been right when the club's gone for people.
Thank you, Alan Ayop, for the super chat. Much appreciated. Super chat side available. And also, if you do want to become a member for just 99p, that is also available, and you will enter the end of the month prize draws as well. Pat, where are you at with Lucas Paquetá?
Well, I think you can put him to the list of several players in this summer transfer window that, sort of basically tell the narrative of the obscurity of the transfer market. I'm talking up to 95 million quid for a player who's only had a season in the Premier League. I think you alluded on yesterday's show. He's had 5 goals, 8 assists across all competitions. last season.
Yeah, he scored 4 goals and like 3.
Yeah,
he's
5
got
and 8 or
words
something like that. Now, keep in mind that is under a David Moyes squad that isn't necessarily known for going forward unless it's on the break. So those figures can be as obscured as the transfer market is and basically spending on players. You only have to go back 12 months and, West Ham paid the best part of 50 million quid to Lyon for this player. Now, if it wasn't for Captain Wunderbar, if Ilkay Gundogan, we probably would have been in the market for this guy 12 months ago. But it's safe to say that even back then, given, the city tax and the fact that Lyon tried to basically extort us to try and get, players like Ndombele and Aouar through the door a few years ago, and they wanted, money similar to, not maybe money similar to what we're trying to get our Paquetá, but they did try to impose a massive city tax on us to get their players. I can't see any reason why Lyon would have done the same thing. They probably would have asked for 70 or 80 million for him 12 months ago either. So it just shows the obscurity of the market, especially for Premier League clubs at this point in time. But look, I said in the group chat last night on WhatsApp, and obviously Ozzy, you agree with me too. It's
we don't talk.
If you go to some more than others, but if we're going to talk about it, if you're going to spend that much money, fork out a little bit more and get somebody who is absolutely world class in someone like Valverde. I really do.
But do you not think the fact that City have been watching Paquetá for 6 years and haven't been watching Valverde?
It's going up year by year there, Rich. But it's
I don't really know if it's about watching. I mean, Valverde speaks for himself. The way he's played against us over the last His class speaks for itself. Yeah.
But Pat, that's you saying that. What matters is whether Pep thinks that's the right player, with the right mentality, the right behaviour, the right understanding for the team.
Yeah.
Now, the reality is that there'd be a lot of players we might watch and think they'd be great, they'd fit in great in the City team. Ozzy and me would probably have about 20 wingers who would be like, yeah, they'd be great, but they probably wouldn't necessarily be great for the City team. Leroy would, because he's adapted as a player and he's got the.
So enough for that crap. Right, anyway, I've got to get this out. Should we bring him back, Spolso? Right, Rich? No.
Yeah. So
stop now.
But that's the thing. I think Paquetá is an interesting one. I think he's got a big upside, but because he's lightly played and he hasn't been playing at that club in a decent team for a long time. So I think he's got a fair bit of upside, but that does bring with it more risk.
The point I was going to make.
Join us, by the way, so we can come back to this. Does Addy make a good point? Paquetá is not a 90 million player, but the problem is he's only 1 year into a 5-year contract. He's got an 85 million pound release clause next year. So the problem is, and also what makes it worse, I think it's a great point here. They've just sold Declan Rice as well.
Yeah. So
they're not going to sell both of them out the door for cheap. You know what I mean? Sorry, they're not going to. They're not going to sell their 2 of the best without paying it through the nose, whether we like that or not.
They're 2 marquees.
If we wanted him so damn much, maybe we should have paid the 38 million quid 12 months ago and gone and got him. And stop dicking around with this sort of stuff. But hey ho. Right, we're going to end there because Dan's here and I want to bring him in from Turf Moorhouse. Good evening, Dan. How are you?
Happy as a pig in shit to be back in the Premier League. I'll tell you that for sure. I'm all right. Probably the best time to try and play you in a sense. Start of the season, maybe we're not going to get that 6-0 thrashing we always get. Although I felt more confident of that until the Community Shield, and I thought, typical. It's always us that has to be the whipping boys afterwards when something needs to go, right again. It's just a privilege to be back. Like I say, I celebrated promotion after winning in our rivals' backyard. Blackburn can talk about 95 all they want, but they've never done it at Turf Moor, so up yours. We can have that nice and early. But yeah, like I say, I was celebrating promotion, and then I just got brought down to earth with the realization of VAR is back as well. So, it's that same old situation. I'm just riding the wave, and I'm just enjoying what we're actually seeing, what we're doing on and off the pitch. Just how much the club, the infrastructure, the people, everything has changed at Burnley Football Club. And for a person of my age, in my 30s, it's nice to see, for those sat in the Bob Lord with the blankets and tea and stuff, they're still shouting "knock it long" every week. They're probably hating it, but sod 'em.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually looking forward to this, because this is the Master versus the Apprentice. The Manchester City legend is coming. Well, we're playing him. He's not coming home, and I think Kompany's talked about it this week about it's been very weird this summer. It's been a summer of just congratulating each other.
Yeah.
We're congratulating him and he's congratulating us. Now, obviously, you've had a very, very busy summer. You seem to have, I think there's only left back you've not actually sort of bought yet. You seem to have replaced everywhere else. Was you expecting that? Are you surprised by the outlay, or is it more numbers that you've done?
I think we're surprised more this year, just because last season we had to delve into the market. It's roll back 12 months, and I was shitting myself for back-to-back relegations. I was thinking we are on for a bit of a diarrhea. We could do a Sunderland, just drop and drop again. The media outlets were on us like hawks, typical of them to do that, saying, the financial structures and everything else. I can't believe I'm going to say this, because not a lot of clubs get this privilege, but there's an American who owns a football club and seems to be doing the right thing, which is always great to see. We needed bodies last year when we lost Tarkowski, Pope, Ben Mee. Just that triangle there was so pivotal to the success that we've had under Dash, and for what we thought potentially in the future. It's hard. It was really, really hard to replace, 13 outgoings, to bring in 16 players that are unknown. And, Kompany came in with a philosophy as these will bring in young quality, move from sort of, I'll have a 2 to 3 year plan, they'll progress, and we'll eventually get back in the Premier League. But Burnley do what Burnley do, and they just love to rip up the rule book and, answer the doubters by putting, the mouth to it, really, and just saying that's it. We're going to go out and do it. I just think Alan Pace coming out in this summer and saying, don't expect a crazy window like the last one. We had a lot of outgoings and we had to replace those with incomings. This year, I think from what the media are saying, we spent nearly 100 million. And I'm just like, what? Burnley and 100 million in the same sentence is like, I don't know. Do we owe somebody that in a ransom? Who have we kept hold of that somebody wants? It's so strange. Everything has changed. I didn't even think we'd get Kompany in. When we went down, I thought if we stayed up, he'd come, go down. If we're going to try and use anyone for pulling power, it probably would have been like a Rooney at Derby at the time. But no, Kompany clearly saw something that he lacked in the shitty little Northern club. And we say it's a shithole, but it's our shithole and we love it. And that's the thing. It's just such a remarkable turnaround. So many transfers, so much success to be had. And like I say, I think Vincent Kompany will not take 17th as a good season.
Go on. No, go on else.
Just as I don't like it, it's brilliant that you've got such enthusiasm for your club and the trials that you've been through with up and down, and it's brilliant to hear that how much you've got such passion like any football fan. It's just great to hear that Burnley are now back in the Premier League. I suppose what I'd like to ask you is that obviously from the days of Sean Dyche to now Vincent Kompany, what has been the big changes? Because I'm pretty sure most of us haven't probably watched Burnley in the Championship. I know they obviously did really well. That we were hearing they're playing attractive football. But what is it that Kompany's done where has this team changed? Who do you think what has he done, and what players do you think he's brought in that have really kind of helped you get back into Premier League for this season?
I mean, if you look back at dash ball to, you know, the system we've got now, the contrast of it is just out of this world. You know, back in 2009 when we got promoted under Owen Coyle, we thought painting wooden seats was, you know, Burnley a next level now. So to all of a sudden go from this Dash situation, and don't get me wrong, Dash's sacking for me, the timing of it was all wrong. If it was straight after the Norwich loss, I could have understood, but it's on the Friday of the week after when he's about to take a team meeting to prep for the next game. And it threw everyone off a little bit, especially when only 4 weeks, I don't know, I can't remember. It's been so long now, so much change, Ed's gone. But, you know, Dash got offered a new contract. And then obviously to answer the question, when you've gone from somebody who, even at Everton now, is still saying, you know, it's the fine margins, it's where you know, we're struggling in today's market and stuff. Bollocks, Sean. You said that at Burnley as well. Don't try pulling the wool over our eyes. We've just gone and got a manager who's now just spent 100 million in the market on players that, if you look further than the end of your nose, you can actually do something about it. Stop trying to look for the tired and tested. It's, you know, and don't get me wrong, you love a manager like that. You know, that's how the old football were playing. But I think that's another reason of what we needed. When Kompany came in, football has changed so drastically that clubs now have to adapt or die. Simple as. If you don't adapt to the way that the Premier League is fastly evolving, then you're going to become a casualty. And we knew that the season previous. So something had to drastically happen. And to go from long ball specialists, you know, pumping it forward to two stiff idiots up top, and hoping that they're just going to finish it. I just think the change around, I mean, pre-season against Shrewsbury, I mean, I can't remember the result because I was too in awe at the fact that we rolled the ball out from our keeper at the back. I've never seen a keeper at Burnley roll the ball out. It's just been such a whirlwind. Like I said, we're playing with flair. We've got this attacking intent. Fullbacks are bombing forward, but they're also getting back. They're not doing a Patrice everywhere. They just go up top and then don't bother. They seem to just want to do everything they can to make sure that there's blood, sweat, and everything left on that shirt when they walk back off that pitch. And then that is down to Vincent Kompany and his philosophy. Craig Bellamy as well, unsung hero tactically. You know, you see him on match days. He's the one who seems to be turning to Vincent saying, I think you should tweak this and tweak that. And there was many games last season where you've seen Craig Bellamy say something, that substitution's happened, and it's paid off. So the two of them together, you know, it's like an old school Harry and Jim moment. It's great to see, you know, when two people just gel so well.
But they're both smart lads. They're both very smart lads. I think Vincent Kompany, you're more traditional. He's very intelligent. He's stable, and he's got the authority of a man who's won captained 4 Premier League titles and captained his country, and not only that, had some of the biggest moments, you know, in actually stepping in and getting huge goals and huge moments. So, and luckily for you, you're talking about, you know, being up north. He's got a Manc wife and 3 Manc kids, and by all accounts, they were desperate to get back to Manchester. So, you know, personally, you know, Burnley worked out, you know, probably absolutely the perfect move for him, because he got the chance to actually stamp his authority, but he actually got to go back, keep his family happy, and be close to a part of the world, you know, in a part of the world he loves. And yeah, I mean, it's quite funny because, you know, it's certainly seeing Kompany there. It's certainly changed City fans' attitude to Burnley, I reckon. You know,
not just City fans, like the amount of fans of opposite sides that were like, you know, F Burnley this, sod Burnley that, relegate them, get them down, shit football, it's gone. As soon as Dash walked out that door, everyone was like, Burnley's in the mud. But you know what? They're not a bad side. And I just thought,
yeah, I mean, I thought it was quite interesting because, Dan, you said that you were kind of thinking that Kompany wouldn't come if you went down to the Championship. But actually, I mean, he wasn't pulling trees up at Anderlecht, really. He wasn't doing fantastically well.
No.
He was doing all right, but, he'd had some bad moments.
He was coming,
well.
yeah. He was improving a lot there. I think he started very slowly there, but he was starting to make a big difference towards the end. It was almost like and I think that affected Burnley. I think he changed things perhaps a bit slower or a bit differently, where he was a lot more, merciless, or maybe it was just the contracts at Burnley of just saying, right, I need to really sweep things clean and get the players in. And I guess it's the only way you can possibly change a team style of play is to change nearly the whole squad.
Yeah. It's a ballsy move. It's a very ballsy move.
I've got a question. You spent this money. Because I want to come on to James Trafford in a bit. What's happened to THB? Why have you not? Is it something? Because from our end, we've heard it's 25 million quid.
Yeah.
Rough what we've sort of wanted. Is it? Have you tried from your end? Have you tried to buy him, loan him again? What?
I think from what I've heard, we wanted him on loan again. Just to sort of help City. But I think, from my understanding, THB, even when he came to Burnley last season, was a bit peeved that he's gone out on loan. City went and signed Akanji, so he's like, right, so now I'm another defender down the pecking order, and then he's gone back. And obviously now you've just signed Josko, because how I'm pronouncing Wi-Fi password last names is not happening for me. But so that's another defender he now has to contend with, and it's not like he's just a nothing defender. We're talking about one of the best up and coming world centre backs at this moment. So he's definitely going to have to go elsewhere. To get that game time. I personally thought we could have done a structured deal similar to the Muric one, similar to the Trafford one, with like a buyback clause, a percentage fee, etc. like that. Because we seem to be working quite well with them sort of deals. So I really am surprised, because THB has all the markings of a future England, a full England captain, not just obviously the under 21s. A absolute brilliant player, and I would take him back at Burnley in a heartbeat. The window's still open.
I remember watching his debut at Deepdale in the Carabao Cup, and when I think Angelino played as well, and he was fabulous. He was big, he was strong. Yeah, he was rough around the edges. He needed, did he suit a Pep team at the time? No, but to me, it's sad, because for me, that's one I would have liked out the academy to come into our first team, because I think he's an absolute Rolls Royce of a defender. I think he's brilliant. And
it's like you said, though, he needed roughing up, didn't he? So where do you send him? Stoke, Blackburn, and Burnley.
But that's the way we've done our loans. If you'd have had Dyche at your club still, you wouldn't have got Muric. You wouldn't have got, because it wouldn't suit your style.
No.
The same way with McAtee. The way it's like you look at some of the players now, they've gone to Leicester because they've got Maresca there. So the way I think we look at the loans is the playing style. Because there's no point in sending to a team that just lumps it, because they're not going to learn anything coming back to City doing that. So I think there's a way we do it, but I'm a bit surprised because out of all of our players that have been linked away this summer, and I don't know if you fellas have heard anything, there's been literally nothing on Harwood Bellis. There was a little bit yesterday with West Ham, in terms of, I know Fulham had a little nibble at the very start of the window, but it just got all quiet on him. And it just amazes me, because I think it'd suit so many teams in the Premier League it would be.
I think he's been linked with Leeds recently, hasn't he, as well, if I'm not mistaken? I'm sure I read somewhere he's been linked with a loan move to Leeds. But again,
backwards. He needs to be in the Premier League for me.
Yeah, he does.
Yourselves or just something like that. I think it's a major step backwards going into a Leeds, and that's no disrespect to Leeds United.
He's already brought one team up. He's good enough to go in the Premier League to a club that can keep him in there too.
Oh yeah, big time. Big time. Like I said, I would snap your hand off for him. If someone said, right, you can have... exactly.
I mean, he's got right on that. From Blackburn to Burnley was a bit...
Yeah, that's all right. He's sort of gone up in the world a little bit after that move. But no, he was absolutely brilliant for us. And when he got injured, it was a bit of a sad loss. Luckily for us, Kompany managed to sign players that would... come in terms of Amin Aldakil, Yalmar Ekdal. When them two came in the January window, one, you're thinking, who the heck are these? And secondly, you're thinking, well, what does that mean for THB? Is he going back to Manchester City? Do we need all these defenders? But as soon as he came back from injury, slotted back in, he just fitted the club perfectly well. When you just see a player at your club that suits and it just works, it was just one of them. It almost like, I say the same regarding Nathan Teller, but we're still piss fighting about with that one as well. So we need to, book our ideas up, try and obviously, do something in terms of that. My only issue is we need a left back, and if that's going to be priority over another centre back, then
Gomez.
I'd take Gomez. I'd take Gomez.
You're laughing, Jose, because you think I'm just trying to get him out the door tomorrow. I mean, I would
drive him as well, Martin.
Drive him.
But the thing is, he's got that past. He's got that past with him, though. He's got the past with Kompany from Anderlecht.
Yeah,
he's got that. The only issue is, I don't blame Gomez for the belief that he's got in himself to say, you know what, nah, sod it. I want to stay here. I want to try and stake a claim. To you, Martin, you're probably like, you staking a claim is down at the job centre when I hand you your P45 or something.
Listen, I'm all for him staking his claim, but for me, I think to go to Burnley, go back to Kompany, I think would be a decent move for him. I mean, even if it's a loan, I think it would be good. I think it would be a very good move. I mean, that might happen, because
we are going to need a few Gomez's. We are going to need a few players who are not in that core 16 of world-class players and are not kids. We are going to need a couple. So, because otherwise we could find ourselves a couple of injuries in a lot of trouble. So,
are you telling me
I would keep Gomez rather?
Right, that's him gone out the show.
Now, look, Dan, what you're saying about
you're
saying about Taylor and Sergio, just possibility of a loan. The only thing I can think of is if Burnley stay up, and I have every reason to believe that they will stay up, it's only just going to increase their stocks if we do want to sell them down, further down the track.
I am rich. I do get the Gomez thing. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm being.
Martin, you said that through gritted teeth, mate. You said that through grit. You couldn't even hide your face well enough with your hand then without saying that through gritted teeth.
I can't see it.
And Martin, I will clarify. I wouldn't keep Gomez as a left back. I'd keep Gomez as someone.
Why are you in the comments? Out the comments. Stop trying.
To be honest, Rich, I'm surprised you're not talking through gritted teeth. I'm surprised you're not talking through gritted teeth at the moment, because Dan just referred to two stiff idiots up front, and I'm sure one of those was Chris Wood.
The mighty Chris Wood. Yeah.
Oh, there he goes.
The best since Chris
turned Newcastle around. Yeah.
Chris Killen in the 21st century.
I liked Chris Wood. I actually liked Chris Wood to begin with, but then it's like I say, he just. I think again a bit like Vegos. To be fair, he just sells. He sort of sells everybody under the bus. Sends everyone under the bus as soon as he leaves clubs. Goes to Newcastle and says you can't do anything in your comfort zone. You know, Burnley's your comfort zone. Your comfort zone, mate, was the offside flag. That's the only thing you got comfortable with because you were offside every single 2 minutes of the game.
I'm going to give you your job. You loaned him to them down the road, and it just made me piss funny watching United fans moan about Begars from top. It was the best 6 months I've ever seen. It was amazing. To go from Andy Cole to Vegas was just great to watch. It was quite funny for him to have the meltdown. But anyway.
What's going to be even funnier is when they think they've got the new Haaland and they discover he's the
Have
new...
you seen that? Have you seen the Welcome to Manchester thing they've done?
Oh, you're joking. They've not done another one, have they?
Yeah, they've literally done Highland as Haaland.
Oh, wow. Nah.
Oh, with the big old flag and the chair and all that. Yeah.
To be fair, he did get 9 goals in Syria, you know.
You spent 80 million quid on him. And then they think they're going to spend 100 on Kane. It's quite funny. Anyway, no, Dan, a few questions.
Then you worry about Paquetá's price.
I'm not. I was moaning about Paquetá's price. I'm not.
If Hoyland's worth 80 million, he's probably worth about 250.
I'm going to, because there's a few people, our great community have come in and asked loads of questions. I've got one more before we go into those. James Trafford, I think you've got an absolute steal of a goalkeeper there.
Yeah.
The reason he's with you, I know this, he wanted first team football at us, and we just couldn't give it to him. I think you've got a future England goalie.
Oh, big time. I think even if you aren't somebody who watches, the lower leagues in the EFL, what he did with Bolton was, nothing short of remarkable. He's a good communicator at the back. He manages to shore up a defence. Don't get me wrong, it's a massive jump playing League One football to the Premier League. Do I think he starts tomorrow? No. I'd say Muric deserves the chance because Muric for me has grown massively in confidence. Absolutely massive. He's coming out. He's coming off his line. He's coming for catches. He's so quick with the ball at his feet. For me, Muric has shown better signs. However, you've got to think Trafford is 19. He's what? He's a baby in terms of goalkeeping peak age. So we've still got to nurture him in. He's only just come through the door. He's still getting used to everybody. And I mean, pre-season, did you see the goal he conceded against Real Betis?
I was going to say you've not had a great pre-season, have you?
No, he got lobbed from the halfway line. He had a David Seaman moment.
Onana did as well. You're all right. And Onana got lobbed at the halfway line on his debut. So you're all right.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, you dog Onana. Trafford, you'd be like, feel for him. He's only young.
That's actually true. I'd make an excuse for Trafford and Onana and just laugh at that.
No, he has a brilliant keeper, though. And like I say, we have definitely got one of the best young keepers. I mean, what is it? The fee we paid, was it like the third highest amount for a keeper in football? Something like that?
I think it goes up to 19 million, I think.
Yeah.
I know we've got a buyback, haven't we, I think, as well.
Yeah.
The one thing I'd say about goalkeepers is I actually think goalkeeping in the lower leagues is just as hard as in the Prem. And in many ways, it's a slightly different one in that you're probably dealing at slightly less speed and stuff, but you're actually dealing with a lot more donkey defenders in front of you. So I think stepping up as a goalkeeper into the Premier League is different to stepping up in any other position. Because actually, when someone smacks the ball in the top corner, it doesn't matter whether you're playing park football or Premier League; it's the same thing. So, in that way, I think maybe you can adapt more. I think just the reality is with City is that Ederson is the perfect keeper for us, and Ortega's a good backup. So they probably realise that if Trafford was to play for City long term, we have to sell him and we have to buy him back and pay, the 20 or 30 million profit to Burnley in the clause we'd have to pay in 3 or 4 years' time if he was to have a future at City. So, it's almost no lose for you. He's gonna do an.
You say no lose though. You say no lose, but I have my doubts. I think you look back at the fact that when we had Nick Pope, Tom Heaton, and Joe Hart, there were three keepers that were, Billy Mercer, our goalkeeping coach, had turned into these England internationals. Obviously, Joe Hart not so much, but all three wanted game time. All three wanted to be playing football, and eventually, that's the issue I feel we may have between Trafford and Murich. I mean, yes, we signed another keeper who was in the League Two team of the season last year, Lawrence Figueroa from Leyton Orient. We got him on a free. So, I don't expect him to be in and around it. Like I say, it's a nice headache for a manager, but from a player's perspective, you're thinking, well, I want to be playing. Goalkeeper is one of the hardest positions. Like you said, there's only one of you, and then you're their mate every week when you're training, but you're sat on that bench going, go on, just like fate an injury. Give me 10 minutes. Come on, don't be a target.
Even Trafford's not stayed at City is because he played football.
Yeah. So that's why it was a surprising move.
And then go sit on a bench at Burnley. Otherwise,
that's why I have my doubts about it. It worries me that.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm doing what I'm telling the others not to do. I'm reading private messages. I just need to read these super chats. Alan, thank you for that earlier on. I do lots of love, Martin and the boys. Keep smashing it. Thank you so much. Sean C. Hi, Millie, the Blue, my daughter up there in Newcastle. Hello, Millie. Hope you are well and hope you are safe up there. Alan again, love Villa. Thank you very much. The $7.99. And Adam has become a brand new member of the channel for 99p. You will now be automatically entered into the prize draw at the end of the month. And what we're going to do is we're going to give you a choice as well of different prizes. If you want a mug, for example, I'll send you a picture of Pat's face or Rich's face. By the way, I've just noticed something. Rich, is Daniel a long-lost relative?
You know what? When Rich was talking to me earlier, I thought someone's going to pull it up.
I've already had 4 DMs about it.
Possibly.
We're all a good advert for Gillette or Wilkinson Sword right now.
Right, let's get into some of these. But yeah, Super Chats are available, membership as well. But thank you to you all. You are all superstars. Dan got some questions for you.
Fire away.
For Dan, where do you think Burnley will finish this season? Oh, not even hit the first game yet, isn't you?
Yeah, I know. It's going to sound boring because I want to say mid-table, comfortable mid-table. But I would snap your hand off for 17th and above. Like I say, I know Vinny won't be happy with that. But it's your first season back in an adapting Premier League. Teams like Liverpool and Chelsea, were dog crap last season. They're going to want to put it right. So, there's a lot of teams that are punched above their weight as well. Maybe we're looking and trying to emulate the likes of Villa and Brighton and try and push on a bit like that. And hopefully we do. Have another successful campaign.
Question for you, Dan. Now, I'm going to refer Burnley to a few other clubs that have sort of fallen into the trap of the yo-yo sort of system where they come up for a season or two and then they go back down. Now, I have every confidence that Burnley, not just because of their manager, but I just think that they're doing the right things to play good football and be, and not just be like someone who can just stay up, but someone who can be relatively competitive. Do you think the big question marks for you guys if you stay up this season, and again, I have every faith you will be that second season syndrome, or as the Americans call it, like a sophomore slump? Because the second season from when you get promoted always seems to be the one where other teams have more of a chance of figuring you out a little bit more because you are a bit of an unknown commodity in the first season when you come back. Do you think that there's more than likely there's going to be a little bit more? It might be one of those things where you can go in all guns blazing this season because you feel confident that you can go ahead and get a job done and play consistent and be have a good season. But I think the biggest question mark for you guys will probably be that second season because we have seen it from numerous clubs over recent years in the Premier League.
Yeah, Vincent Kompany has got a lot to, answer for in that. I think, a lot. I was speaking to a City fan earlier who said to me that, they reckon Pep will probably go when his contract runs out in 2 years. Does that mean that if Pep has success with, if Vinny has success with Burnley, that, we then Vinny then moves on to fill that void at the Etihad. Time will tell. The only issue you have with that, like you say, is how is he going to perform in a second season? He's going to come up to the Premier League now, and it's a case of he's going to have to show his worth. It's all well and good being a captain and a leader on the pitch, but you've now got to take them credentials to the sidelines and try and do it from there. In the Championship, he's done it. Brilliant. But like we said, the leagues are adapting, and you can start to see the gulfs in class between the divisions. So I hope he can make that jump. I mean, the things he's been doing, like I say, under Dash, they had like 2 days off a week. Under Kompany, they are in every day. They came back. I think we'd only finished the season 3 weeks prior, and they were back. So he's really trying to get them, not even Dash fit, whatever that were, but he's trying to get them as fit as possible to be able to, have one eye on the teams around us. And it does worry me, the second season syndrome. It really does. But it depends on who we can keep hold of. At the moment, it's just constant positive signs. Like I say, players that we're thinking are going to be linked with moves, signing new 5-year contracts, bringing in players that, like I say, Sanderberg, linked with Liverpool last season, now playing for Burnley. James Trafford, again, future England #1, now at Burnley. It's just, you can't see anywhere but upwards at the moment.
I've heard a lot of people say about what Vinny's done at Burnley, and this is probably even better because you actually strengthened this summer, is that actually you've signed a lot of, and this is very Pep, you've signed a lot of players who are very adaptable. So they're not necessarily a player who can only play number 6 or 10. They can play midfield on the wing, or they can play holding midfield, defence, on the fullback or centre back. And you're saying you've got a lot of those players now. So, in terms of injuries or any problems you have, you've got quite a deep and adaptable squad, and a lot of similar quality that you can bring players in. So, I mean, that could work in your favour. Yeah,
big time. Because I think obviously he's going to take some stuff that he's learnt from Pep, learnt from managers he's played under, and you can see that we're going for that. When City were sort of adapting and they were pushing wingers forward and using them as attackers, and it's only recently that obviously City's mentality has changed with having that out-and-out striker in Haaland. So, when you've gone from pushing those wingers up like Mahrez and things like that, we're still trying to do that at the moment. And I think companies realise if you start there and you get that steady progression. He's bought a lot of wingers. Everyone seems to be going on about, why is there another winger coming in? Why is this guy at Burnley foot? How many wingers do we need? I've got no complaints about it because it worked at Manchester City. Not going to say that it's going to work at Burnley Football Club, but never say never.
Yeah. I'm just reading, because it looks like Harry Kane's now agreed to go to Bayern.
Oh.
And I think the other thing I think is probably, and I don't know what the rest of the panel think, but I think it's changed a lot in the Premier League, is that there's now, I think, a real quality in that 7th to 11th or 12th place that we haven't had for a long time. There are going to be teams like Villa, someone like a Newcastle or Chelsea who are going to have to finish below the top 5 or 6. And I think that means that now that for a promoted side to come up and jump, to some people are saying Burnley could make top 10. I think it's a huge ask. You're going to have to come above a team like Brighton, who looked at times on a par with City last year. So it's not easy anymore. You've got to get above some really top sides to get in the top 10.
Your dog agrees, Rich.
Rich, you could also say the same thing about Diceball from what was about 5 or 6 years ago when Burnley finished 7th. Nobody expected that.
No,
I think we've always got to go in with an open mind. Yeah,
Leicester, Leicester bottom at Christmas, and turn that completely
Wolves did it
on its
twice
head.
after promotion. Wolves did it twice after promotion. Yeah,
the little moments, the little glimmers that you hope to get, and see your club into, but again, the moments, that's all they are.
quick question too, Dan. JJ Watt, former NFL player, now become a minority. I believe it's a minority owner or something of Burnley as well.
Yeah.
How have Burnley fans been sort of embracing him? Because I know it's a bit of a mixed bag with English fans and Americanization of football, especially from the city's perspective. Given our owners, and there's always a bit of back and forth with American owners and big clubs as well. But how are the Burnley fans sort of treating him, sort of embracing him? Is it good? Is it mostly positive? Because for me, it's like when I look at it, I see like this is a very likable sportsman, not just in American sports, but globally, if anybody sort of followed any NFL.
Yeah.
But it's also, too, I think, given there was probably a few question marks regarding ownership or previous ownership at Burnley, does it feel like it's nice to have a bit of a face behind sort of the moves that the club is making and how you guys are progressing forward?
Yeah, big time. Again, that you'll hear that phrase. I think I've said big times every answer, to be honest. It's what Alan Pace has done, and he's used his contacts very, very well. Bringing JJ Watt on board, then it sort of took a domino effect. You've gone from JJ Watt, his missus then jumps on board with him. Then you've also got the fact that he gets Dude Perfect involved, and you're just thinking, you're just thinking, what? Like, half of the fans at Burnley Football Club have never heard of Dude Perfect. They've never heard of JJ Watt, and they're all like, "Oh, these bloody Americans coming over here." But it's just remarkable, absolutely remarkable that we are getting the name out there. The amount of people I see on Instagram that have shared a message because they've seen JJ Watt in a Burnley shirt now want to be a Burnley supporter. People working for CNN or CBS wearing, Burnley shirts and stuff. And it's just, whoa, what is going on? What is going on? Like, I was lucky to go out of Burnley and not see someone in a different shirt. Everyone was wearing different tops. But in Burnley,
your shirt had probably the best sponsor on it of any club I'd seen in England last season with
last season, classic football shirts. Honest to God, I love this shirt.
That's just a wonderland of football.
Just nostalgia all over, isn't it?
It's a brilliant place, yeah.
It's like I said, I just hope that we can grow. I just hope we can grow naturally, and it just happens as a progression, not something that's forced.
We're seeing it too now with what Tom Brady's now come on board at Burnley.
Yeah.
It's mad.
Have you seen Tom Brady's like minute and a half TikTok?
Yeah.
Where he introduces himself to everyone. I was watching that. I was just thinking, it's not Peter Swales, is it anymore?
Super C's got a question for you, Dan. Who is the danger man for Burnley who you need to watch for tomorrow?
I'd probably have to give it to Anas Sarori or Manuel Benson. I think Manuel Benson or Anas Sarori.
I thought that was all one word. Then I thought that's someone.
No,
that's definitely a triple word score in Scrabble.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Imagine that.
And it's even worse if you just had Anas. And if they put a pause, if they put a space in between it, you're knackered.
Language.
It's just for me, Manuel Benson is brilliant. He's injured though, so that's why I think I'd shout out more Zarori than anything. Benson had a fantastic end to the season. He's still adapting to the English way of football. Players are starting to now look at him and go, we need to double up on him, because the last 4 goals he scored are literally like pressing rewind, play. They were all the same. Like I say, the goal he scored against Blackburn, the week after he did it again, then the week after he did it again, and then down at Bristol City did it again. And we're just like, this guy just clearly loves to cut inside on the edge of the box, shoot, goal. But Zarori is such an unsung hero. He spends half of the game just sat out wide on the throw-in line, basically just to-ing and throwing from there. And then he'll receive a pass from nowhere and be able to get somebody on the end of it. It's a hard question to answer when you're coming up against Manchester City, who the danger man is when you're used to getting dicked week in, week out.
Yeah, there's loads saying, I think Addy's then asked the question about who's going to be the most impactful player for the whole season. I think more.
Yeah, I mean, shearing up Jordan Bayer from Borussia Mönchengladbach, that was one of the best loan signings we had last year, as well as THB, Teller. I think a lot of them was a success, to be fair. But Bayer did stand out as well.
Got Van der Berg as well, didn't you? Yesterday.
Yeah, like I say, Van der Berg, fantastic signing. Only 25 as well. I thought it was like...
How'd you get him for less than Sheffield United bought him for, which is where I don't understand. They bought him for 20 million and sold him for 14. And then they wonder why they're in a mess financially. Someone's not doing something over there, I'm telling you.
I think Yorkshire
folk for you.
I feel like Sheffield's got a lot more question marks going into this season than Burnley does.
Someone's asked about the stadium. Did I hear Burnley got a 200? I think he means £250 million budget.
It'd be million.
No,
that's a gift voucher of B&Q.
I've never had a gift voucher for 250 quid, mate. Jesus.
He's on Facebook Marketplace. To be honest, I don't think there'll be much change at Turf Moor. I don't want it to be either. The best thing about Turf Moor is the fact that it's that old, rugged place.
Sort the away end.
Oh, no, mate. We all want you to have splinters in your arse come 90 minutes. We all want you to have that.
Can I say something, right? I've done Turf Moor. I went to Burnley away during the Centurion season. I think Danilo scored a banger from 30 yards, and then it was Gustafsson scored a late equaliser, I think it was. And, I remember just getting up early that day, getting up to the ground, and, we couldn't really find any pubs. It was all full of Burnley fans. So we ended up getting a few drinks at the cricket club next to
Yeah, it's a good place.
Of course, as soon as I started hearing my accent, straight away it's just cricket. Jimmy Anderson's better than Mitchell Johnson. I was like, yeah, right. Carry on, mate. You're talking out your ass, but yeah, look,
he is Pat.
No, he
Let's
isn't.
be quite clear.
Martin, they're using the
Burnley Express.
I'm going to start breaking you. We're not a cricket.
Let me just put my thinking cap on again.
No. So
now,
if you want to play with your bat and ball, go and do it somewhere else.
People talk about, but don't do it Burnley away. It's a shithole, this and all this sort of stuff. I had a fantastic day up there. We ended up, back in town later on. I think we ended up is it called the Cork House or something after the game?
Yeah.
And it was a fantastic little venue. Absolutely loved it. Don't remember much apart from walking in and then someone helping me out, but helping me out the door to get a train back to Victoria later on. But look, I had a fantastic away day there, and it's a shame I can't be there. So I enjoyed it, and I think most City fans would probably say they're glad to have
the difference is, Pat, as well, though, that you've come to Burnley,
Norwich, once a year or something.
You've come to Burnley and probably saved up 400, 500 quid, thinking, right, I'll go to Burnley. And you've gone home with 490 quid still in your back pocket.
Yeah. I've got to admit, I have a great time every time I go to Burnley. Oh, no, the very first time I went was 98, 99 when we beat you 6-0. I don't know if you remember that one. Then I got chased onto a minibus because as you came out of Turf Moor at the time, you all walk up the street and you had the police going up. So the usual insults come out. Your mum's your sister. I shagged your mum. Your sister's got 6 fingers. It was all coming out. And they were throwing it about. And then all of a sudden, there was some aggro up at the top. And then all of a sudden, the police disappeared. So then it was just a line of Burnley fans, a line of City fans. And here's me, this 16-year-old, gobby little git who's thinking, right, here we go. Realised I had to go to the top of the road, because obviously it's on that hill, innit? So there, jump straight into this moving minibus, thinking I'm going to get my head weighed in here. And then the next time I went, I thought, great, someone remembered who I was. Like 4 years later, I thought, crap.
Oh, wow.
And I got recognised. And I think that was 6-0 as well, because for some reason we just, people are asking for score predictions. Are you hoping it's, because I don't want to sound, because I don't like to say it, because I think it's going to be a lot closer game than what people think. Because City never start the season well. And I have two rules. I never want to promote a team early because I think you're on a crest of a wave at that point. You're going to be turf under the lights, sold out, company football. I can just see like banana skin all over it. Because
what's your other, Martin? What's your other rule? If one of them's no promotion team early.
Oh, my other rule is do as the don't play him early and never expect to win on the opening day anymore.
Excellent. So we can talk about Leroy and cricket now because that's not one of Martin's two rules. Fantastic. Just checking.
I mean, what are you expecting? Are you hoping just not? Is it not 5 or 6 or?
Yeah, I think we've sort of become accustomed to. I don't know. It's almost like you look at this game and we just roll over like Richie's dog, get our bellies tickled. So we sort of just. I want us to have a bit more aggression in us and actually start to, not so much the latter, but I totally agree with the first bit. But yeah, like I say, for me, I'm hoping it's a close game. On my prediction show that I just did for this, I think I went more with me head than my heart. So I went with a 1-1. I'd take it, of course. But actually, anything less than 4, and us seeing the ball back in the back of the net at Turf Moor, I'll take. To be honest,
there's a few gone 2-1, 2-0. Here's the big one. Adam's gone 5-1. Haaland hat trick.
We never start like that, though, do we? I mean,
I think the unlucky thing,
Spurs or something first game.
That's it. My only issue is that Arsenal lost. That Arsenal loss in the Community Shield, and we being next. It's almost like as soon as the final whistle went, and I saw it that Arsenal won it. I just went, and it was almost like shit. We're next. That's it. We're getting whipped. So I don't know. We all feel like that in a moment. Like I say, tomorrow I'll be like, yes, buzzing, football's back, and then I'll get that tweet from Burnley saying, this is your team to play Man City, and I'm just be like, right, well, what's the point? I'll be turning it off after 5 minutes. So I don't know. I'm hoping, there has been shocks. I think someone said it earlier, in the 09-10 season, that 3-3 at the Etihad, Kevin McDonald late on. Kevin McDonald clearly has history against City because when you beat us 6-0 at Turf Moor, he got subbed off at half-time and went to the pub. That's just the most Burnley thing to do.
Yeah, you'll have to excuse Ethan. Ethan's gone 8-0. He says 8-0 a lot. I think he's like,
I thought, he's just typing out emoji. He's typing out an emoji there, I'm telling you. An emoji with glasses on. He's trying to take piss out of me and Rich.
I mean, you'll have to. Alan's even gone, we're going to get beat.
wow.
Yeah, but Alan does say that every week.
He's honest, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's going to be tough. Like I say, after that game against Arsenal, I just feel like we could be on the end of a bit of a sore one.
Are you
I
going?
think history's not on your side, is it? Let's be honest. I mean, I think the last time you got a result against us was, 2015? 2014, 15?
Yeah, again, that was under the lights at Turf Moor. George Boyd, Vincent Kompany assist.
There's a hit here, right under the lights.
Exactly, a night under the lights, a Kompany assist, and George Boyd on the half volley past Joe Hart.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have one hell of a lucky night like you did then. So you're right. I think coming off that Arsenal defeat for us, I think the usual case is that City roll out and just roll over the next team that we're going to go up against. But as Richard stated, we never kick off well. We start slow and build up, and then we do the business towards the end of the season. So, around Christmas.
So that's
we need to get the momentum up before we head to Athens, and then Newcastle next weekend isn't going to be.
Hang on, whoa! Sorry. Serious, Haaland 3, KDB 3, Palmer and Ederson.
Oh.
You are taking a piss there, Ethan. Come on, surely you're more.
It would make more sense if he said Perron was going to score 4. Ethan, be realistic.
Yeah, I think there's going to be two very.
He's just
very
watched that game
interesting
where
things.
Stuart Pearce brought David James on and thought, right, Ederson's going to bag here.
You know what? We still don't understand.
I wouldn't even do that if it was his bloody testimonial.
I think the interesting thing is going to be to see whether they stick by this added time thing, because I've heard City fans moaning about it, which I find hilarious because it's almost a rule designed to help City, because we're the team who suffer more time wasting against us than anyone else, and that kind of takes away, one of the best ways to beat City has always been frustrate, waste time, frustrate, annoy, gamesmanship, catches on the break, and teams have done that to us time and time again. I mean, obviously not a huge amount because we win the league, but I think that's going to be interesting, because you do that against City, you're going to find yourselves with a 75-minute second half, which means that you're going to get tireder and tireder. City are going to bring on, whoever, Paquetá and Alvarez off the bench, and you're going to be playing against them after 110 minutes. So
I'm glad. Have you got a bit of breaking news?
No, I'm just speculating.
I
think that's gonna change a huge amount if they stick with it, because I think that's gonna, it's gonna help the top 4 or 5 teams, and it's gonna hurt everyone else. And so that's going to be interesting. And I think the other thing that's interesting when City play against, and I don't think this is true with the way Burnley play now, but when we had problems with promoted sides, is we weren't physical, but I think we've probably got one of the biggest, strongest sides in the Premier League now. I mean, you're going to have, Walker, Guardiola, and probably not tomorrow, Diaz, Stones, Ederson, Rodri, Haaland. They're a team of giants now, and that's the weird thing. I don't think you can get stuck into City in quite the same way, or just bang it up in the air in the box in quite the same way, because we're now playing with 5 giant defensive players in front of Ederson.
And it's not just that. As much as these players are aging and people think, oh, brilliant, they're going to get older, another year behind them, we might actually get into them. But that move of Stones into that CDM role, phenomenal, made it his own. Like I say, even from the outside looking in, you can see that tactically, for it were only two years back, you were screaming for a CDM. Now Stones has almost gone, if you'd have just, slapped me on the arse and pushed me forward a bit, a bit sooner, I could have done it.
Yeah, Dan, it's the proof there with the UEFA's Champions League team this season, where one of the midfielders was a centre back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Remarkable what he's done.
And he won't be able to get there this season because Guardiola will be racing to get there first.
Sorry, I'm just looking at something because people are going on about what's this? I don't know. I'm looking at something, Rich, whether you've seen something that I haven't. Mingy Wong,
no, I haven't.
For being you in your membership for 2 months. Appreciate that. I've got some news on that, by the way. We'll go around score predictions because I appreciate you coming on, Dan. I know you've been streaming for the last 4 or 5 hours, and you probably want to rest.
Yeah, I started at 7, finished that one, jumped on another one at 9, and then jumped onto this straight after that one finished.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
That's all right, mate. Anytime.
What score prediction tomorrow, Pat? What are you thinking?
3-1.
I like you, Pat. Oh, I don't like you, Pat.
What's that?
No, you can stick to not liking me at all, mate.
I'm sorry, I don't think it's going to be an easy watch for you, I'm afraid. I think, like we discussed earlier, I think after the Arsenal loss, I think City are going to come out all guns blazing. I don't think it's going to be a 6-0, but I think you're looking at least possibly a 4-0, I'm afraid.
Arrogant sod.
He likes me a bit more.
Rich?
I think it's going to be 1-0, but I'm not sure who to. I think it's going to be really tight. 78th minute winner. I'm just not sure whether it's going to be Burnley or City, but I'll have to go for City 1-0.
Rich,
I
can
think
you
it's
imagine the meltdown if we get beat up Burnley? No disrespect to you, number one.
Okay.
Our fans are having meltdown when we get beaten pre-season at the moment.
But
God knows
to be honest, to be honest, I find it quite funny when we melt down. I mean, there were fans melting down a week after we'd won the treble about the fact we hadn't signed anyone yet, and you just have to laugh at things like that. It's just it's comedy.
People
have to run before they can walk, though, don't they? I mean, when we got Europe with 7, when we got Europe, in 7th place, everyone was the season after were like, why are we lurking down the bottom half of the table? It's the same players from the season before. And you think it doesn't work like that. Leicester didn't go and win back-to-back titles, did they? Like, honest to God, some people, it's like, do the three of you share one brain cell? It's like, think about it. Football is adapting. Things change. Players age. Legs go. There's so much change in football. Like I say, my head says 1-1. My heart says we'll get beat 4-1.
I can promise you now, Ethan, that won't be the 11, mate. As much as you're really hoping for, it isn't. Cancelo is not starting tomorrow. I know you love him, but he isn't starting, and neither will Palmer.
He's definitely got that wrong because he's got Ederson in goal and he said he were going to score. He did not specify whether it was own goal or not, actually, so I'll give him that.
I'm going to go 3-1.
Oh, nice to see you, Martin. Thanks. You're going to go. Take care.
No, I'm going to go 3-1. Oh, but I think it's going to be I think for the first 60 minutes, it's going to be a real tough watch for us. And I don't mean that in disrespect. It's because, I mean, in a way, you're going to make it that dogged for us. And plus, you're playing us first. We never play good first.
But you do that, though. I've noticed that with City in games, that for the first 10 to 15 minutes, unless you find the team out pretty quick, you seem to have that period of like, right, let's see how they're playing here. And just because your players are that good, they don't even need Pep to really say anything. They almost just adapt to the way the opposition plays. And it's a case of, right, we can see that pocket of space keeps coming available quite a bit. Let's try and get in there. Let's try and break down on this side. It's horrible. It's horrible to watch.
You know what it is, Dan?
But as a City fan, I bet it's absolutely buzzing.
No, I would think is you can tell how we're going to play in the first 5 minutes.
You reckon?
From the kickoff, watches, if we get the ball and start going backwards.
Mate, I'm only going to have to watch the first 5 minutes anyway. I'm going to be crying into me fucking pizza or something.
What we do, if we get the ball and the kill and start going backwards and we start knocking it around the back line, you're kind of like, this is going to be a slow one.
Yeah.
If we start getting chances in the first minute or 2 minutes, they're on it. It's very weird because we either score early or it becomes a slog. It really becomes a slog. And generally we score early is when we put 3, 4 and 5 past teams then. So you can always tell what sort of mood they're in. But I suppose, I mean, oh, Pat's gone. All I'm going to say is, and I'm not trying to kick you off by all means, stay everyone, but I know conscious you've been on for so long tonight. May the best team win. I hope you have, wish you all the best for the season. I really, really do. Because I love Kompany. And I love the way you've changed your football as well. I think it's great to watch. And it must be like dream for you to go from Sean Dyche to Kompany football. It must just
big time. Big time. Like I say, we've got that Hollywood ball now instead of dash ball. It's just something's changed. Well, I say something, everything. Like I say, just the infrastructure of the club, everything around the club, the stadium's getting. We're getting sponsorship deals for things that didn't even. We signed what? We got an official partner called Emma Mattresses to get an official sleeping partner. Most people have to look in a book in Thailand for stuff like that. So if we're doing these deals and giving these people these titles as such, not that we're trying to create like our own version of the royal family, we'll just chuck titles at you. But we're sort of just doing bits. But I mean, we've just signed a deal with Sports Interactive and Football Manager, and we're getting all these little pockets of hope that, because there is a part of me that thinks, the amount of spending we've done this year, I hope it doesn't come back to bite us in the arse like it could do with the likes of Chelsea and Everton recently as well. I just hope that it doesn't. I don't know. It's a tough business. Who'd be a chairman of a football club? Give me the bank balance. Just don't give me the issues that come with running one.
Exactly, and it's a weird one. I mean, just look at Sheffield United as a perfect example. They went
owned
all
by
out.
a prince and the skin.
They went all out, got themselves promoted, and now they can't do anything when they get up.
Exactly. They've gone from Prince Abdullah to Prince Andrew within a
That's what I
promotion.
mean.
It's absolutely done over.
It's almost like they've done it ass backwards.
Yeah.
They've spent the money to get up, and then when they've got up, they've gone, well, we can't do anything now, so we will probably go back down again. And
you remember the programme Bullseye? Sheffield United, it's one of them. You remember the programme Bullseye? They've got promoted, and it's like, let's have a look at what you could have won.
Yeah, it's totally ass backwards. I don't know what they've done. They've been better. It's as though they've got up just to get that 150 million quid to go right back down again. I
bet Derby fans are rubbing their hands together going, this is going to be interesting.
Derby and Sunderland must be sat there going, who's after our records here?
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
I still, to this day, Dan, don't get what someone from Telford would do with a speedboat anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've always wondered if anyone ever won that bloody boat, what they'd do.
Oh, sorry,
leave it on the driveway.
Opera House out on the left.
Well, no, but
Gauser winning a Ford Capri going, what do I want with body at car? I just want the four tyres, mate.
You
speedboat when everyone wanted the car.
In Burnley and you're sat there in Sydney Harbour, look at me, pool out the back. And me and Dan are sat here with a bloody pond out the back, and that's just because it's pissed it down for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Although it needed it after 25-degree heat this today, so I'll take that.
It's been bloody warm today.
Tell me about it. How about curtain shut, mate? I'm a ginge. How about curtain shut, hiding indoors? Sun's out, ginger's in.
No, Dan, have you got anything else you want to add on the preview? I mean, stay and have a chat about City if you want, mate. On our transfer window.
I'll shoot off just because the missus just got back from Hereford last night, so I'm going to go up and at least say hello if she's not already led up there like or snoring. But no, I appreciate the chance to come on. Like I say, thank you for getting in touch. It's been nice, and like I say, good luck for the rest of the season. I'm sure you'll go on and win it. And who knows? The treble's been done. Why not go for the quad?
The only quad I
don't know what City are going to do, but I know what Vincent Kompany is trying to achieve.
No, big thanks to Dan. By the way, you can get over to Turf Morehouse TV. I have linked it in the description, so get over there and as well. So then you can get both perspectives tomorrow. Ours and the Burnley perspective.
It's a pleasure having you on, mate.
Take care.
No, thanks for having me. Take care, guys.
One last thing. Martin, if we ever need a rich replacement, we've got one right there.
It's about 30 years.
I'll even, mate, there'll be none the wiser.
I'll even get the missus to bark in the background.
Yeah.
To be honest, Dan, as long as you bloody hate Wickham, I'm okay with it. You have to have a pathological hatred of Wickham to be
I hate Nick Sporran.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I like Akinfenwa, but I think Gareth Ainsworth scares me a bit. He looks like that gremlin from Labyrinth.
Yeah, everyone's loving you, Dan, saying thank you.
No, appreciate it. And like I say, if you do a review or anything, hit me up, give me a shout, and I'll
we're doing that tomorrow night, mate. We'll be live tomorrow.
Right. Well, I'll try and tune in if I can. I'm not even at the game. The missus booked a weekend away.
Oh,
I know.
If you win,
it's all right.
If you win, can we just do an Alan, Dan, just two-person, because I think that'd be great. Alan sulking, you gloating. I think
Dan, it's all right. It's all right, mate, because Martin booked a trip to Turkey that went 6 weeks after the Champions League final, so it's okay.
Beat that.
Yeah, I can't beat that.
Champions League final. City in Champions League finals did mix at that point, so hey ho.
No,
We'll see.
I don't blame you. I don't
Anyway,
blame you. Thanks again.
Thank you, mate.
Take it easy. See you in a bit. Bye.
Thanks, Dan. In a bit.
By the way, if anyone wanted to know who the match officials are tomorrow, it is Craig Pawson, 54-year-old, took charge 39 games last season, 156 yellow cards and 3 reds. And he last took charge of a City game in October when the Sky Blues beat Brighton 3-1 at the Etihad. And the official was also the referee when Pep Guardiola's side last visited Turf Moor in April 2022. The assistant ref will be Simon Bennett and Steve Meredith, and the VAR will be, oh God, the VAR is Michael Oliver.
Wow.
So we're getting jack shit.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, so at least you know who the assistants are. But yeah, big thank you to Dan for that. They are Michael Oliver. When are we releasing merch? Not yet, mate. We're not quite there yet, but maybe in the future we'll see. We shall see. Rich will take that. We're sure everyone's just loving Dan. Who's on BAR? So that great. The hard way is then. Yeah, don't worry about it. Where do you want to go now? You want to go back to transfers? We're still in the middle of transfers.
Yeah, we may as well. I mean, I've got about 20 minutes, so
yeah, we're probably not going to do
our business.
We're probably going to hit 2 hours and be done. We're going to try because obviously there's not loads. So, but I have one thing I can say: there will be no watch along tomorrow. My father's not been well this week, so there will be a post match, but there won't be a watch along because I'm going to watch the game with my dad tomorrow night. And then there will be a post-match around about 10:30 because I'm out on Saturday night. I'm going to an escape room.
Well, that's just us never seeing you again.
So the lock
he won't be here by next Friday. He'll still be in there.
I'm still in this escape room in town.
Let me out.
Listen, me and the missus, we've got no chance of getting out of this room. We picked the
Can I ask you an honest favour? And I think this would probably make for the best TV ever. Could you do a live
from escape room?
A live show in the escape room? You try to escape and us giving you advice and just laughing when you get it.
Do you know what would be funny? Yeah, I can do that. I could go live and get everyone to help me.
I don't think we would, Martin. I think we'd just like to keep you there as long as we can.
It'd be so funny. I think
let you out, They don't keep you there and feed you. It's not a prison, Rich.
If we pay them, they might.
Strange ways.
They might, actually.
No, if we pay them, if we say it's live, it's for charity.
Look, Chrome's done it now.
Martin can only be let out if he raises 10 grand.
Yeah.
By the way, I can confirm as well, I have decided there will be a huge stream on deadline day. I'm going to do it. I spoke to someone who I know on YouTube who has a wrestling show. Really top fella. He's launching his football channel on that day. So I'm going to help him and we're going to have a chat as well. There's loads. I've got so much planned for that day. I'm going to get the lads in. I'm expecting City to have a very, very busy. I can see us going to deadline day this year. And I don't just mean for it. I think we're going to have a lot of outs on deadline day.
Do you think that means Ozzy can wear his giant haystacks outfit?
No, but because
Big Daddy Pat. Brilliant.
We still got Cancelo, Laporte. We talked about Gomez again. All of them, I don't think will get done till the last 1 or 2 days. ITK again, Martin, and then you wonder why you're not on the show at the moment, Alan. Carry on.
I think it's looking like we are only going to get a couple of signings in through the door. It's looking like you said, Martin, that we're getting more out than through the door this summer, which is quite surprising because I think before the end of the season, we were all talking about how the transfer window would probably be one of our biggest, and it really hasn't been, if we're honest. City haven't really gone out there and spent the money. They really haven't gone out there and got the amount of players we thought they would probably get.
There's still time though. I mean, ultimately, if we go and get a midfielder and a winger, and we end up this summer having signed 2 midfielders, a winger, and a centre back all for the team, that's a pretty big summer. I don't think, 4 players for that core 16-17's a big turnover. With
I'm not looking at you lot.
There's
There's a super chat come up. That's just, yeah. Got to read it out though. Cheers, Alan.
The thing is, Rich, though, I don't see Lucas coming through the door. I really don't, because I think as we alluded just before we broke for Dan, he's on a 5-year contract, 4 years into it. West Ham are pretty much saying that they're not going to lose another big player this season, and usually what's happened with West Ham in the past is when they've said we're not selling a player, they don't sell. They didn't sell Rice a couple of years ago or last year, when a lot of people thought he was going to go and he didn't. West Ham were like, no, he's not going anywhere.
Honestly, I suspect that Paquetá's head will have been so far turned now that if he doesn't go to City, he'll go somewhere else. I suspect that you get to a stage, especially with, Rice is a different kettle of fish. He'd been there since a kid. He loved the club. He was never going to go and shaft him. But I think Paquetá's head will be so far turned now that they know he has to move. And, they'll be trying hard to get big money from us as quickly as possible so that they can move. And, from his point of view, he's just seen them sell Rice and they haven't done anything with it. And he's faced with the prospect of playing in midfield with McTominay. You kind of have to want to go in that circumstance, don't you?
You may want to.
If I was told I was playing for McTominay in the local Sunday league, I'd probably be a bit like, not sure about that. I'm not sure he's got the quality.
So the problem is, Rich, he's on a contract though. Do you know what I mean? And if West Ham say no one's going to meet our valuation, then he doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, but as a club like West Ham, you can't afford to have your best player. They can't afford to have Dimitri Payet Mark II or have a player like that. Not the 90 million or whatever it is worth far more to them than an unhappy player. And once his head's turned, once his mind's made up to go, it's the same with us and Cancelo. Cancelo's, wasn't great last season, but he's been a fantastic player over the years. But once his head's gone, and once the manager knows that, there's no point. There's no chance. You just have to, move on.
And while Cancelo's still got 4 years left on his contract, it's a completely different kettle of fish with him.
All for Brits.
We're just trying to shop him out.
Harry Kane's been given permission to travel to complete medical tests. Bayern are increasingly confident of it being done on Friday. Positive round of talks for players camp took place tonight. So United might not be getting him. This is the other one, by the way. Jeremy Dokken. Belgian international. He's 21 years of age. Just turned 21 as well in May of this year. Right-footed winger. What are we thinking about this fella?
And, are you talking about on his own, or are you talking about him, as opposed to going for someone like Elise, or...
I had a chat with I did a show last night and had a chat with a Crystal Palace fan who's on there, who's quite knowledgeable on them. He doesn't think Elise is going anywhere. The rumours at Palace is that Elise and Izzy will stay one more year and then go next year rather than this year.
Is there still no news about his injury though? He's still out, isn't he?
He's out till October. It looks like Chelsea have gone for Lavia. Apparently that's nearly done. Lavia to Chelsea is virtually done, which is why Liverpool have now moved for Caicedo. which is a bit weird. They weren't willing to go to 50 million for Lavia, but they're willing to go to 100 million for Caicedo. That was weird. But apparently, Caicedo, they want more than what Rice went. Because a lot of teams seem to be using Declan Rice's fee as the dropping off point.
Markup.
Yeah, everyone's going, well, if he went for 105, right, here we go then. That still now seems to be the starting point from everyone's point of view.
The difference is that he went for 105 with a year left. So you're paying 105 million for one season effectively. I mean, I know you'd pay a lot more in wages if he went in a free and signing on, so it's not quite like that. But you're paying 105 million to get someone with a year left on the contract, as opposed to, I don't know what Caicedo, but I imagine I think he's got 3, hasn't he, or something like that.
No, he's on a new contract, didn't he? So he's got like 4
is he? So he's got 4 or 5. So you know, you have to say he probably is. I'm not saying he's better than Rice, but economically he's probably worth more than Rice because he's
English
got that,
tax though as well for Rice. The English tax. Do you know what I mean? You have to think about that.
And I think that's why, you know, Paquetá, we're getting these prices because that's the price. You know, Lavia, you know, has, as I said earlier, he's going for 50 million, and he's had a pretty good season for an awful side, and in which time he only won a handful of Premier League games in his career. And yeah, I couldn't believe that Liverpool would take the punt of having Lavia as the only CD. I think just having Caicedo as the only kind of player in that position is risky. So, you know,
he's going to be. You know, if they sign him, he's going to be overplayed by Klopp.
Yeah, I mean, although the other rumor is that Liverpool are, you know, trying to get Chimani out of Real, and that's the deal they've wanted for 3 years, and they want the, you know, Real that use that to get the money to sign Mbappe.
I mean,
just go on to just go on to a docu. He's a young, talented Belgian player. You know, he hasn't exactly ripped up League One. You know, he's done all right. You know, he scored a few goals. He's few assists here.
He ain't scored that many goals for League.
No, he really hasn't. He's
very raw talent.
He's a very wide player as well. He's not in the box.
Rich, we don't play. I mean, like I said, we may change, but he's got 6 goals. Do you know, that isn't the scary stat for me. You know what the scary stat is for me with him? 2 assists in 29 for a winger.
While Elise had 11 assists last season.
Yeah, I mean,
Elise's technically
in a Roy Hodgson squad too.
Player.
In a Roy Hodgson/Roy Hodgson squad to get 11 assists. That stands out a bit to me.
He's got. I think Elise's got a really high ceiling. You know, I
prefer Eze.
I think that would.
Yeah.
I think Elise's different class to Eze. I think Elise's technically way above Eze. Maybe Eze can be a bit exciting, but Elise's got real quality on the ball, and you know,
Rich, I look at Elise. The other thing with Elise too is I think Elise could eventually move into midfield.
Yeah, no, he's just a technically really gifted player, and I think he could be moulded, and I think that's what would be exciting about him with Pep. You know, if he's got the right mentality, the right character, and everything else, but you know, Doku's a bit different. He'd be like signing, you know, a raw Robinho or something. You know, it could go in any direction.
I know Rich for me assists in League One as a winger.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
And they want, and from reports are that Ream wanted basically 66 million.
Yeah, they want 60 to 70 million for him, Rich.
Yeah.
Do me a favour. No,
I'm saying Elise for me is the.
Rich, I'd rather
the only thing about Elise, Rich, is regardless of the injury, it's a £35 million release clause. You know what we're like. If we were in for him, you'd already be holding up a shirt.
Yeah, I think the problem for City is that, as Martin has said so many times, we don't really have wings anymore. Not the traditional, you know, flying, pacey wingers. So
may change though. I might change my mind on that. That may change.
Blimey, breaking
only
news.
because-
We always change. We always change.
I'll just say
Yeah, we
only
always
because
change.
I thought he was always going to bloody invert, and he didn't invert jack nobody on Sunday. John Stone's just become a straight centre back on Sunday, and we were all like, "Whoa, where's that come from?" So I don't know. And then you had Walker overlapping Bernardo again. I was like, "What?" That's like it was like September, October time again from last season on Sunday. It was a bit weird.
Yeah.
But I think Martin, I think what Pep wants is the ability to play any kind of football he wants within the game or between games. I think Pep would love to just have a team that he could go, right, 3 at the back today because that's tactically the best and we play perfectly, 4 at the back next week because that's tactically best, it works perfectly. And I think he wants that. I don't know that anyone will ever achieve that, but I think that's where he's going. And I do think if the right player with the right mentality was available, who had that direct quality, Pep would sign them and use them and try and change us again a bit. But I'm not saying that Doku is that player. He's a project, isn't he? And whereas I don't know, Elise, to me, he just looks like a player who could just come into the City side, and then we might actually just see him fit in and actually play at that quality quite quickly. And whereas Doku, I think, might do something worldy and then have 2 games where he's a 2 out of 10.
So you're back to Leroy Sané again.
He's not going to say it, otherwise he'll disappear.
I'm not going to say it, but
he knows exactly where he's going with it.
If you want,
exactly where he was going with it.
If you want someone who just slip in perfectly day one, I think there's your man.
I think personally, to where I was going to say, I think there are 3 players that I can see playing on that right side. And I think for me, that right-hand side has become, again, not a pacey winger side. It's become, a talented midfielder that can play out on that wing. So for me, it's Valverde. It is, sorry.
Yeah. No, for me, it's Phil.
Or it's the guy from Napoli. Do you know what I mean? And
for
those
me,
sides,
it's Phil.
It's
got to be.
Phil.
I mean,
I'm saying if we're going to bring somebody in, Rich, for me, those are the type of 3 players where I could see playing out on that right, who can easily transition into the midfield, out onto that right, because the way we're now playing, we don't play with the traditional wingers. So for me, those type of players can go out there and do that.
That's right, Ozzy. We don't play with wingers now. We play with expansive midfielders.
Yeah. Martin's computer's just crashed, so he'll be 5 minutes. His deep apologies to everyone. But no, I think for me, Ozzy, I'd like to see Phil start on that wing on Saturday. I think what I've come to the conclusion is that we're not going to see Phil and De Bruyne in a midfield together. I think they're going to be the kind of attacking. I think Phil will play midfield when De Bruyne doesn't play sometimes. But I think we're going to see Rodri in his role. We're then going to have that more controlling player who keeps the ball, and that could be Paquetá because he can keep the ball pretty well, or more likely Kovacic for now. And then it will be De Bruyne or Bernardo, of course. And I think De Bruyne or Phil will play that slightly more risky, lose the ball role. And because of that, I think we need to play Phil wide right, because I think Phil needs to be in the team, but he's not going to play with De Bruyne in midfield. So
can I ask you, Rich, and Pat as well? For me, are you 2 either worried about Phil? Because he's 23 now. He hasn't really nailed down a position in this starting 11. Do you know what I mean? And you're right, Rich, he could go out to the right this season. That could be his chance. But he doesn't seem to have, for me, he can play right, he can play centre, but we've seen him more out on the wings than we have seen him in the centre, really. So should we be more concerned about his progression? Because for me, we all agreed when he started first coming into the team, it needs to be slow, it needs to be, Pep was doing the right thing. But now, are we not a little bit more concerned?
Do you know, not that much, because I think he was starting to nail down the false 9 position a bit and playing in that front 3 the season before. I think last year, honestly, it's partly the World Cup, partly illness, partly injury. a little bit of lost form. So I think last season was a bit of a lost season for Phil, but I do think he started to really come back towards the end of the season. And honestly, I think to avoid the complacency, to allow us to change and everything else, I think this season we're going to see a huge season from him. I still think he's the best young English player in the game, and I think we're going to see a great season from him. But I do think, whatever the rumours are, I do think it's going to end up being in the front three, because I think that Pep will not play him and De Bruyne together. So unless De Bruyne gets a serious injury, I think he's going to play in the front three more. If De Bruyne gets a serious injury, that is when you'd see Phil playing week in, week out in midfield.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And a stop-start season like Phil had for a 23-year-old it's a hell of a lot different to a 28-year-old as well too. So, I think we've just got to be patient with him. Sooner or later he's going to be probably doing what we want him to do or what Pep wants him to do. So, look, I'm patient. I'm so patient with Phil. Yeah.
And I think
forget how long he's been there, but yet still how young he is. So
he was still probably
he's just one of those ones we can take all that's wait time with.
Still probably our best player in the Champions League final, and I think I think if he wasn't I think he was our best player in the Champions League final. So
Rich
saying he's not quite achieving it, but
Rich, what stood out for me for that final was how it wasn't necessarily just. I think he had a great performance in what was a bit of a lackluster game for us, really. But what really stood out for me was how quickly Pep wanted Foden on that field as soon as he knew De Bruyne couldn't go on any longer.
Yeah, because
he knew straight away he wanted him on. Straight away.
I think he's heir to De Bruyne, because I think what De Bruyne and Phil both do is they'll take the risky pass, they'll run a bit more directly, they'll take a bit more, whereas what we see perhaps from, say, Grealish and Bernardo, or we saw from Gundogan, is a player who never lost the ball. I'm not saying Gundogan didn't have some good passes and everything else, but they kept the ball, they kept that control, and then kind of maybe Mahrez, or Phil or De Bruyne, they're the players who, are allowed to take a chance to lose the ball, because they're getting assists and they're getting goals. And so I think we'll see Phil rotate for De Bruyne, but I think he needs more football than that. And that's why I think we'll see him a lot on the right wing and running, being direct. And I think he looks great in that position. And the truth is, if you look at the Bernardo role when he starts on the right wing, he plays half the game in midfield, or pops up in different places and does different things. And I think we've got that flexibility now that I think there's going to be a bit of swapping positions in games. You could have Bernardo and Phil in the side, and they could pop around and change positions and just shake things up if it's not working right. But he's such a talented player, and I think we're going to need, with Mahrez and Gundogan going, we lose goals and assists, and I think Foden's a goals and assist machine. I think he could easily, if he played 38 games, he could get the best part of 20 goals and the best part of 15, 20 assists. So I think he can replace that kind of lost output as well.
Well, we know he's got the talent. We know that how good he can be on his day. I agree, Rich. I think him on that right wing, he'll definitely take him to his own. And I think him going in taking over KDB, I think that's a possibility. I don't think he can ping the ball like KDB, but I definitely think he can kind of drive the game forward like KDB.
Yeah, he can bring it down and turn it. He can do something.
That's the difference. KDB took 4 players out with a pass. Foden takes out 4 players with his dribbling.
Yeah.
I think we've seen Foden take out a team with a pass. I mean, he's capable of brilliant passing, and the truth is, KDB at 22 wasn't the player he is today. He wasn't quite sublime. He missed a few more passes and stuff. So, Foden's still got, he's still got 7-8 years to, hone his skills to be compared to KDB directly. So, I think you lose something, but I think you gain something as well with Phil. So I don't know. We haven't talked about the team for Saturday, so probably we should, or Friday, sorry, probably we should do that. But I'd like to see Foden starting with Haaland and Grealish in the front three.
Well, let's do that then, Rich. Let's get our prediction for the lineup then, because I think you're right. I think Martin's probably still winding up his internet. So
yeah,
do you guys?
He's on the bicycle.
Yeah, exactly. So, Rich, do you want to start with who you think will be?
Well, I think it'll be Mr. Ed in goal. I think defensively, I'm a bit uncertain because there's rumours about Diaz, Stones, maybe not being fully fit. So, that does cause a bit of an issue. I thought that for sure Lewis would start in the Community Shield, but
does anybody
did.
Rich, do you think it's a bit weird that it wasn't mentioned that Stones and Diaz are possibly not travelling when, Pepper only had his press conference about 12 hours ago?
Why
was nothing mentioned then? He said
I don't believe, I think we've got to take all the rumours with a pinch of salt because let's be honest, we had half of Twitter melting down that Kovacic was out for the season yesterday when absolutely nothing happened to Kovacic. So I think we just got to take things with a pinch of salt. So assuming they're fit, I think probably Gvardiol starts from the bench. I think probably we start with, Ake, Stones, Diaz, and probably Walker because I think we're trying to make sure we keep Walker. So I think we'd probably start him.
It also seems like he's our new captain as well. So
yeah. And I think midfield. I think it almost writes itself, assuming that well, actually, I suppose if Phil starts, then maybe it doesn't. But I think midfield, you've got Rodri, and then it's going to be two from Kovacic, Bernardo, and De Bruyne. And, possibly we might be a bit surprised and see Bernardo on the bench first game because, I think maybe he'll want to give Kovacic a go. And I think for me, and this is probably why Bernardo's on the bench, but, I actually quite like resting Bernardo for, some of those types of games and go for Foden with Grealish and Haaland up front. And then, it shows where we are that in that lineup, you'd have players of the quality of Gvardiol and Bernardo not in an 11, which is almost impossible to imagine. And, and you probably have a very grumpy Akanji.
What are we on now?
So we're going through the lineup, Martin.
Right.
But because we don't know about Diaz and Stones.
Plugging the battery back in.
Yeah. And you can pretend. Yeah, you can pretend Diaz and Stones are fit, Martin, because we don't know. So, obviously if Diaz and Stones.
I'm just going by what Pep said.
Akanji and Gvardiol come in.
So,
yeah, because apparently I'm an ITK, so I know the 11 that are going out tomorrow night. If you want to know, bring it out. I don't put jack shit out on Twitter in ITK. I don't do anything, you know what I mean? But
well, whoever's going out, Grealish is going to be buying the first round. So
yeah, Grealish will buy the first round. Grealish is crap. Get rid of him.
Yeah,
no,
Grealish will listen to this show. Take my advice about going down to the court.
My intrigue for tomorrow night is what bloody tactic, what formation we're going to line up with. I just don't. I can't even guess a formation now because he didn't even do what he normally does against Arsenal. Whether that was a false thing from him, to give Arteta a bit of a, knock him off the scent a little bit, but. So I don't know. I have no idea because probably Walker will start.
Rich did say. I think we all agreed that I think Walker probably would start because one, looks like he's the new captain, and I think Pep wants him to stay, so I think he needs to play him. So
I think Walker will start the season and then be back to where he was last season again. I think we're gonna get rinse and repeat on Walker.
I think the biggest pull for Walker going in some ways was if Kane went as well. So, I think all the more reason to just keep him happy, keep him in the, because hearing a lot of stuff about Walker's positive influence in the club. And, one of the main reasons Pep doesn't want to lose him is not so much about on the pitch. It's actually his influence off the pitch and, his character in the dressing room and, with, a few senior heads going, they are, wanting to make sure they keep a couple of those older, lads who have personality.
He didn't give anything away in his presser, though, did he, today? He didn't say anything about who was fit, who wasn't. We don't know about Aka. There's rumours of Stone.
No, he said Aka's back in full training.
No, but what I mean is that he just suddenly, we didn't know he was unfit for Sunday, did we, at the time? So it was just like, you don't know what he'll do tomorrow. It's weird.
I'm going to have to shoot anyway.
Yeah. And listen, I'm not saying Doku. Cheers, Rich. We're going to end in 5 minutes anyway.
Yeah. See ya.
See you, Rich.
I mean, the big thing for me is everyone going about Doku and everything else. You've got Alvarez. Everyone has completely forgot about Julian Alvarez. And I don't think he works as a 10. I'd put him on the wide front personally, but hey-ho. I don't know because, Bernardo Silva looked out of sorts, but I think that was because he had Walker suddenly overlapping him. And Bernardo wasn't having that when we played Bayern Madrid. And you know what I mean? Because you go back to Walker when he played Madrid, it was a straight defence job. There wasn't a lot of overlapping. And then on Sunday, he suddenly went back to the overlap job again. And then you could see to the detriment of what that was for Bernardo, in my honest opinion. I just think... So, I don't know. I mean, like I said, could it be Palmer? It's a weird one because West Ham want Palmer. So is Palmer going to be part of the Paquetá deal? If that ends up going through, we don't know. It's at the moment, it's one of them weird ones. I think I need to see the 11 and the formation.
It's a new season, though, isn't it? And we know Pep.
Yeah.
Can suddenly throw a curveball. Do you know what I mean? He's very good at that. And it wouldn't surprise us, if there's two at the back. It's Pep. But I think for me, I think he will probably go. For me, it's Edison in goal. I think there's a good chance that Walker will start. I think, as was alluded, I think if Stones and Diaz are fit, it's those two. And then would it be an opportunity to bring Guardiola in? Because you not really want to get him in the Newcastle game. You're not going to bring him probably in for the game against Seville. So is this a good chance for him to start? I don't know. Probably unlikely. But we could see a Kanji out there. I think midfield he's probably going to be Rodri, definitely. I think you're looking at KDB most likely, and then I think it'll be Kovacic. And then I think, obviously up front it'll be, Haaland, Grealish more than likely. And then right wing is where I'm unsure about because, as you said, Marty, it could be Bernardo, but he didn't really work, against Arsenal. So is it going to be Phil? Is it going to be, Alvarez? I would like to see Phil, if I'm honest, because I think Phil probably would work better.
I mean, Jermaine's put here, Alvarez right wingers and no Martin Schultz. Where does Alvarez ever play them? Because I don't think he's ever going to. I don't think Alvarez works as a 10 behind Haaland. I don't think he's strong enough for that position. Against Arsenal, he was bullied. He was completely out of the game against Arsenal. And the problem is, he played well against Fulham. But like I said, go back to Leeds, go back to the West Ham game at home. I just don't think he's a 10. I think he's wasted there. So it's where you play him. Is he going to be happy keep playing back up to Haaland? Because then you're into a Gabriel Jesus situation again without even blinking about it. So, but you never know. Haaland might touch wood, he doesn't. But snap his leg tomorrow night and he's out for 6 months and Alvarez is ending number 9.
But that's why he's there, Martin. At the end of the day, he is Haaland's backup in all shape and forms. He knew that's what, when he came into City, that's what was going to happen. And you're right, we could end up with a Jesus situation. I don't think we'll end up with it this year.
No, not this year.
Yeah,
I'm thinking more like you said, long term and sort of because everyone's going. He knew he was back up. Well, Jesus knew he was back up for Aguero.
Yeah, but I think that was a slightly different because Guerrero's coming to the end of his years. I think he knew in a couple of years that's where he was going to hopefully come in.
Yeah,
I think it's slightly different because Alvarez is technically older than Haaland, only by a few months, but you've got Haaland who's a freak of nature. It's going to be so hard to unplace him. It's going to be an injury, or it's going to be a tactical tweet, or it's going to be Haaland having a rest.
Yeah, that's
to get into that position.
I don't know how long he'll go with that.
Yeah, we don't know.
I just think about it. Diaz, Stones, Akanji, Rodri, Bernardo, Kovacic, Grealish, Haaland, Foden. I'd take that.
Yeah,
like I said, the rumours tonight, and they're only rumours, is that Diaz has a concussion and Stones is out. But listen, there was rumours Kovacic did his ACL this morning, which was on Blue Moon Forum. So, hey ho, tells you what everyone knows. It's going to be intriguing. I'm looking forward. Is anyone into the new season feel yet? Is anyone ready now? Excited?
I'm still like the treble, mate. I'm still in like I still can't believe we won the treble. That still hasn't sunk in for me, if I'm honest, Martin. I'm still just like, did that really happen? Because
don't ask me that question. Don't ask me that question. I'm still getting over the 2011 FA Cup.
Blimey, you're a long way behind.
I'm still getting over 99 Wembley. You're all right.
Yeah, but you're the dinosaur, Martin.
Rich is still getting over Luton.
Yeah.
I mean, like, part of Oak's not excited. I'm a bit like that. I'm still in last season mode. I feel like this has crept upon us way too soon.
Yeah. I think the Super Cup might start igniting the enthusiasm.
Hearing about it. It is the European Community Shield.
No, I know, but somewhere it's got to start somewhere, and I feel like that might start for me. But that's about it. Actually, probably when the group stage draw is done for the Champions League, then it'll start.
Yeah,
really sort of kicking in a bit.
I'll tell you what we have. What I can promise, I've arranged at some point. I don't know when this will be. I've spoke to the 1894 group today, and we're going to do a show either next week or the week after about some things that went on at Wembley. It's why I'm not really going into the Arsenal game a lot, because I'm sort of saving it for them when they come on. There were some issues, and I've got a complaint in at City at the moment, which we'll see where that goes. I've not even had an email back yet, so we'll just wait and see. And only because I was told by the steward down there to put an email into the club. We'll see where that goes. Because I've never been in a city and surrounded by so many Arsenal fans in my life. Hey ho. And by the way, you could hear a pin drop in that city end on Sunday. Pin drop. And it was sad. But everyone will be back tomorrow. Like I said, we're not going to do a watch along, but we will do a post match at around about 10:30 in the evening. So that'll be fun. Closing thoughts, gentlemen.
Bring on this season, even though we may not be 100% enthusiastic about it yet, but back-to-back treble incoming. No. Let's just get this season started.
Yeah, I think, as we've stated so many times in this stream, City don't always start off the quickest. It usually takes us a bit of time to get into the season. I think that the good thing that feels for this game, for the kickoff of the season, is that we're playing Burnley. There's the whole thing with Vinny. I think when that comes around tomorrow, I'm going to be a little bit more excited. Do you know what I mean? When I see Vinny in the dugout and shaking Pep's hand, and I think it's just be nostalgia. I think that'll be good to see.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm looking forward to it. Do you know when I think it'll probably hit me? The season is next week at Newcastle when we're at home. We're back in the Etihad. That's when it'll proper
They'll have the trophies. They'll have the trophies out before kick-off, and
Yeah.
Sub 2's just summed it up perfectly. Closing thoughts: champions of England, champions of Europe.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Anyway, big thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. Again, big thank you to Dan over at TREBLE House. Go over and have a view of his channel over the City stuff. Really good lad. Sent me a DM. He loved it. Loved coming on. Loved being interacting with you people in the chat. And like I said, this channel is nothing without you people. We're going to keep growing, keep building, keep working hard because you lot deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. And this channel will get bigger and better. One thing I do want to do before we go, I have put into the chat, there is a link to Andy's brand new store, savageonlinestore.co.uk. On there, you can get Manchester City mugs and other stuff. That's where we may get a lot of our prizes. So if you are a channel member, if you put the word pubcast in when you join, you will get, I think it's 20% off. Andy was telling me. So there's something else as well. They're really good, reasonable prices anyway. But he will literally do you any mug you want. So if you want Treble Father and this beautiful face on it, by all means, just grab yourself one. 99.
It's mug on mug crime. Mug on mug crime,
Yeah.
You know, could have Sydney supporters group, Aussie Knows Best, Rich and Dan, twins, whatever you want.
Aussie ZZ top tribute, man.
But if you're going to do that, make sure you do subscribe to 9320 Podcast as well, because they do a great show. Veta will be back at some point. I want to say a big thank you to Veta. Veta's not been too good at the moment. He's just had an operation. So he will be back at some point. He'll be back very, very soon. So Veta's not going away. Veta will be back as well. Yeah. We'll just
send him
wait.
our best and speedy recovery, mate.
Yeah. This channel is going to get bigger and better. I'm doing some form of fan cam with City Extra with Hugh on the Newcastle game, so watch out for that at some point. There's loads of things going to happen on this channel. But we're going to absolutely rock and roll it this season because you people deserve it. Absolutely deserve it. But thank you. Feels weird Friday night football. It feels really weird. But yeah.
Now we love it.
I will send all your love over to Veta, but you know where his channel is. Get over there and send him a lot of love as well. So yeah, I thought one of you were going to say something then. You went all quiet. Right, anyway, big thank you. We'll be back tomorrow, 10:30, with the post-match show. Well, I say 10:30. It depends if we have 30 minutes of injury time with this new rule. We might be back at,
midnight. 1 in the morning.
It's not even our fault this time. But yeah, enjoy the game. We'll see you all then. I may even do a Twitter space before. Keep your eye out at Horsey City on Twitter. And we'll see you all soon. Thank you for joining us. Football is back. Premier League is back. 23-24. Just enjoy the season. Let's go.